Good friggin' morning from New England, folks, and welcome back to episode 46 of the So New England podcast. I am your host, Ian Brownhill, joined by my co-host, Robert Travisano, all things Life's Bettah in New England, podcast producer, Vinny Guarneri, behind the camera. And once again, folks, we have a wonderful guest for you today. So without further ado...
Cut! I'm going to need you to cut. You're doing a good job introducing the pod, but this is a real good segue into our guest today. With that being said... intro nicely into our next podcast guest. When it comes to the arts, there are many different forms, and that continues to grow each and every day. One that will always stand the test of time will be film, directing, writing, producing, all the above. It's all intertwined, yet it has its own special niche when it comes to the beautiful world of art. Today's guest can probably agree, and from an early age knew exactly where she wanted to be, receiving her MFA in film directing from the New York University Tisch School of Arts. I think I said that right, but we're going to go with it because it's New York, where she produced over 12 short films and had her hands in many, many more. That is definitely going to be an interesting episode, and I can't wait to dive in because this is a realm that I love from day one, hearing about you on the big screen. So without further ado... it is my absolute pleasure to welcome our guest, Manya Glassman, to the pod.
I forgot to tell you that he does the introduction. Her face was like, oh, because you screamed cut.
I know, and I was like, oh, what did he say?
Perfect,
Also,
that's why I didn't tell you guys.
my name is Manya.
I knew I was going to mess that up. I asked her before, and I was like, son of a...
It's okay. I always feel really bad correcting people with my name.
Hey, it's your name.
sorry.
You gotta do it. Gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
Manya.
Thank you for correcting me, and I apologize. I'm sorry.
No, thank you for that amazing introduction.
Of course.
This is fantastic. Thank you so much for making time out of your busiest schedule to be with us here today.
Not at all. I love your podcast. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So the short of this is, pun intended, with your short film, I would love to just kind of get a little background. You're a Rhodey girl, right?
I am.
Born and raised.
And I will say I'm getting so used to this microphone head space thing. I feel like I have to say that to camera, that like I don't sound weird to you, but I sound weird to me. So anyway, continue.
Life of a director.
Yes. No,
So what part of Rhode Island are you from originally?
Providence.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Born, so like east side? Because see, when you say Providence, a lot of people... we got to break this down because our audience is all of New England, right? So
Yep.
when they think of Rhode Island, they either think Newport or they think Providence.
It's so
But,
true, yes.
You know.
Providence, East Side, like right near JCC, Brown Stadium.
Nice.
Used to sneak into the Brown Stadium in high school, yeah.
Wow, already throwing yourself under the bus. This is someone's going to have some tea
Troublemaker.
for us. I love this.
I mean, it's a coming of age movie, so we can just get into all the secret coming of age growing up scandals.
Yes, I love it. So when did you know? Like, I got to know, like, what got you into the arts? Was this something that was just always like born and bred inside of you? Or was there a pivotal moment in your life watching a movie where you're like, I would love to do that? Like, what's your story? As an actor, I've always been so intrigued by what gets directors into their seats. So
Yeah. Well, I feel like I have to give my parents credit. My dad is a documentarian filmmaker, and my mom, she teaches art history. So I grew up every night at like from age 5 on watching movies. Like I remember watching Pulp Fiction, I think when I was like potentially 5, and so I watched movies every single night with them. And then at one point, I think I just picked up my camera and was like, let's start making them, and forced all my friends to be in these little skits, went up the street to like local restaurants being like, can I film here? Can I film here? And at that time it was with like my VHS little camera. And so I remember the moment when you realized that you could like cut and make it look like someone disappeared. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're filming this here with the tape, and then like you get up and you keep the camera there and it's like they've disappeared. Like that was revolutionary for me at the time. And so, yeah, I started doing that at a very young age and then kept going. And then suddenly realized I'm terrible at math and I like this. And so I'm going to not do the things I'm bad at and do the things that I'm better at, basically.
Good for you.
Yeah. And so then I went to Moses Brown for high school. And then I went to Providence College. And so, totally Rhode Island.
yeah, love that for you.
Yeah. And which was also interesting because like people who go to high school here who are from here, are Rhode Islanders, but then Providence College is like all over the country. People are coming. And so at Providence College, I went there though, mainly not just to stay in Rhode Island, but because their liberal arts education is just so good. And I was able to study like not just film, but ethics and women's studies and, religion and politics, which we won't talk about. And so,
And that's how it started. No,
yeah. So let's dive into that. Yeah. But yeah, so there, I was able to learn about all these things to not only make me like a well-rounded human, but also, like ethics is a great example of something you can learn about and be like, oh wow, that'd be a great film idea. It's like murder, right? Like, is murder ethical? I don't know. Let's make a movie. Like,
exactly. I love that. It gets you to kind of explore.
Yeah, exactly. And so, but I always wanted to do film, and like that was the primary thing in the back of my head the whole time. And then I applied to NYU grad film. And when I got in, it was the best day of my life.
Yeah, I would imagine. I think that's incredible, like being in the presence of someone that's gone to NYU. I feel like that's something that's spoken about, but I've never met someone that's actually gone to NYU personally. I'm sure I've been in the presence, but I don't also just go up to, hey, I'm Ian. Where'd you go to college? I didn't go to college, so that's why it's not a conversation I typically bring up. Nice. So, but tell me about that process if you don't mind, because that's like kind of is it not like a difficult thing to get accepted into NYU and a bit of a grueling process? I would love to kind of explore that.
Yeah, the grad film is different. So I did not think I was going to get in because I was a senior in college applying. And I figured that only 25 people get in every year. Wow. Maybe 30. Yeah, 25 to 30.
Holy smokes.
To the grad film program, because undergrad, I'm not sure what that is. But with that application, it was basically like use work that you've done. I actually don't fully remember, but I do remember thinking like, am I not experienced enough for this? Because there's going to be a ton of working professionals, like it's all ages, which is different than when you come out of high school and everyone's applying, they're all 18, here you have like someone who could be 60, someone who could be 21, like it just, or I guess you need your, college education. But anyway, so when I got in, it was a huge surprise. And then I realized later on that the other peers that I went to school with at NYU, like some are architects and some are painters. And so it was a similar group of people that didn't have necessarily like a strong film background, but they had stories to tell. And I commend NYU for accepting all of us because they know like it's not just about if you know how to use exposure and contrast. It's about like, does this person have something to say?
That's so cool. I like that.
Yeah, it's very intriguing. A lot of the questions I'm gonna ask are just gonna be so movie and like interpersonal. So I apologize in advance because this is obviously a field that I have a passion and love for. So
no, I love talking about it.
I'm extra interested. What was that transition like for you going from like PC and your whole life in Providence, Rhode Island to like the Big Apple, like New York City and such like a prestigious school like NYU? And how did that transition go? Because as a Rhode Islander, I feel like it's a bit of a stigma, but we are very sheltered. We are very used to our very specific way of living here in Rhode Island, and going to a place like New York that's like very loud and proud and in your face versus like, this is my neighborhood in Cranston and I don't leave Cranston and this is my restaurant. Yeah, totally. My chicken palm.
Yeah. My mom will not drive. Like if it's more than 10 minutes, it's like, oh God, no.
Yeah. No, pack a lunch.
Yeah. It's a good question because honestly, like even growing up, I mean, I would go to New York with my parents, and since they are so in the arts, like I would always go to the museums in New York, and then with my dad's documentaries, like we were a little bit well traveled. Like I went to Istanbul with my dad, and like so I feel like I did experience other cultures. Not to say New York is like an insanely different culture, but it really is. Yeah. And you have people from all over the world, just like in this concentrated area. But what I'm trying to say is from a young age, I've loved New York. I in some ways, I don't know necessarily, I actually don't know if there's that, and this might be like I'm not sure if I should even say this, but I'm at least in my heart, there's a certain type of Rhode Islander that feels like a New Yorker to me. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah. So we actually grew up in Westerly. So we have I would say that Wesley has a fairly heavy New York style influence, like because there's so many people that live in Connecticut and travel up. So in the summers in Wesley, our tourism is massive from the New York area. So that is really implanted and ingrained because they're either like working in restaurants or they're visiting restaurants. I worked at like the YMCA. So a lot of my clients for like training and assisting throughout the facility were from New York. So I would say that there is an influence of New York in Rhode Island. And that's why Rhode Island is so New York and Boston in one.
Yeah. And I feel like it's like the attitude of people though, sometimes, you know what I mean? It's like, there's a certain amount of like directness and like no bullshit that Rhode Islanders have, that New Yorkers have. Depending on where you are in Rhode Island, that's for sure.
Oh, of course. Yeah. It's the melting pot concept. That's what I was thinking of when you described New York, but that's so true about Rhode Island. I went to school in a very small part of, it's like on the border of Rhode Island and Connecticut. So when you meet people from the South, they're kind of like, are you sure? Can you talk to me like that? Like you're very blunt.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. That's a good point though. Yeah.
So in that way, like I don't feel that much difference.
You felt more homey there.
Yeah, I mean, I do. I mean, maybe it's not okay to say it here, but
it's
like
all right.
New York, I would say is like my
We'll just
home.
cut it out.
Yeah.
You know, and Providence. I mean,
Yeah. No big deal. That's the end of the episode. Thank you, folks. Appreciate it.
So yeah, I mean, transition wise, honestly, pretty easy. I love it. I love it. I love like going out on the street and, you know, listening to music in my headphones and like singing out loud if I have to, like, and it's like no one judges you, you know.
Right.
Here I would.
100%.
Yeah. So
maybe just like a little bit around the Providence area, you can kind of get away with it, where people will look and they'll keep going. But in New York, I mean,
it's
you
normal.
just
do
normal.
whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up going to New York quite a bit, but it was always like the touristy Times Square because you know my mom and aunt wanted to be on Good Morning America, right? Is that or no?
Sure.
What's the one that used to have like Al Roker and they'd like be outside, right?
Yeah, I think it's Good Morning.
You're right.
Yeah, Good Morning America, and
You
then
see people in the window.
in the window, and then you know,
that.
I wanted to go outside MTV and see a celebrity from the window,
Totally.
9 stories up, waving, and be like, "Oh my god, I met you know NSYNC," even though you really don't. But
It's like a fascinating, different concept of how people live, because like there's city, and then there's New York City,
a
and
real
it's
city.
in its own, like it's
which is why
upper
I asked that
echelon,
question because Providence is like you know our city, but
No, I
in
mean,
the grand scheme of things,
yeah, I love like every day I walk. I try to walk like 5 miles a day. I try to get like the 10K, you know.
There you go, getting them steps
Nice.
in.
But in New York, it's so easy.
I don't know if my flops could handle that.
Oh, you cannot wear those in New York. No way. You would be like stepping on rats. Like that is, you can't wear flip flops. That's a drag about being in New York, actually. But yeah, you see so much, you hear so much. Like the dialogue that you hear on the streets are insane, like in a great way. You know, I'm just like, what are they talking about?
Yeah.
And I find myself doing that too. Like I'll be on the phone with someone and I'm like, I'm going to be on like the Overheard in New York, you know, Instagram or something.
Right.
But yeah, there's just like, everyone, the other thing I love about New York is it's like everyone's in it together, you know, which Rhode Island has. Like Rhode Island is so supportive. Like it's different in that way. Rhode Island, and even with my film, it's like everyone's so supportive, and it feels like a win for one person is a win for all, you know, which I love. I love that about Rhode Island. New York, it's definitely like fend for yourself, and like dog eat dog world. But I feel like since that's sort of the established, like I can get behind that because that's established. And at the same time, it's like, you know, fend for yourself, but we're all in this together all at once because we're all fending for ourselves, you know?
Right. And I would imagine as a director and as a writer and as an artist, when you're in an atmosphere similar to that term, like melting pot, where there's so much going on, it keeps those creative juices like kind of going.
Yes.
Whereas like Rhode Island, like that's why like my content is really heavily based on repetitive material because really the boomers are saying like the same things all the time about the weather and the traffic. Although if you ask a Rhode Islander, they're all like, I could have my own TV show. Let me tell you the stuff that goes on. I'm like, really? What? You went and you got your hair done. You went and you went to Dave's Market and you saw Susan and you had the same story about how your husband's got high blood pressure. It's like they're all living the same story and they all think, you know, that their like life deserves to be a movie. No offense. I'm just, you know.
Did you catch the Sheila voice in that?
I can't.
Kudos to you, Sheila.
I can't not do my mom's voice when I'm mimicking a Rhode Islander. But anyway, so I would imagine that it's very rewarding as a creative because it kind of gives you ideas on a regular basis, hearing these stories and seeing people around that are just very different than what you're used to growing up here.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, New York also, like, in that sort of, dog eat dog world, like, mentality. And what I was saying earlier about Providence College and ethics is, like, I am really interested in, like, morally ambiguous characters in movies, and New York has a load of those, I mean, so does Rhode Island. But in New York, I feel like I think New York maybe gives more inspiration to the character aspect, but I do think in my own life, like Rhode Island, I mean, the movie that I'm making is a coming of age story, and there's something about the sort of like suburban coming of age thing that I at least resonate with. And you think of a lot of other movies like Lady Bird and stuff like that, where all of these kids are still like living in their parents' house, and it's not like they're in a city with like bars, they're just like going to basements and like stealing liquor from their families, you know what I mean? And so I think there's like this coming of age genre that I would resonate more with, like creatively placing here. If that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
You're talking to a group of friends who spent our 18, 19, 20, and 21-year-old years in his family's basement. Up until you're 21, once we hit that, we didn't have to steal liquor anymore. We can start going out. But
I mean, the family basement is the spot.
That's the spot. And his family's basement was the spot for us. Yeah. Shout out Lisa.
Yeah. You got
Dang, look at us. That's the second time today. Is it a full moon or something? That's crazy. Anyway,
I think it is actually.
Besties.
Copying me.
So I would love to kind of dive into the whole acting, directing, movie, film world. So in layman's term, can you give us kind of like a breakdown of how, like, who is at the top when they start making movies, the writers, the producers, directors, like break down all of these things so that everyone here can understand. One thing that I've always said to people is if you can get on a set and be a background patron of some sort for a film, do it. I think everyone should do it at least once just to see how films are made.
Yeah, I mean, what they don't tell you is it's a lot of waiting, for sure.
Hurry up and wait. That's the term, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
you got to be here at 5 a.m. and then you don't get on set till 3 and you're like, why was I here so early?
Yeah, and then they're like, we don't need you, actually. Like
that happened to me. That's happened to me twice.
Really?
On 8-hour days.
Oh, well.
First one was Little Women.
No way.
Yes, I was there. And let me tell you, not only was it hurry up and wait, but we were outside in the cold, in the winter, shooting in one of the mansions in Massachusetts when they were doing the dance scene. And I was in like clothes from, whatever year Little Women was set in. I forget off the top, but it was not comfortable. It was very unfitting wool. Like, at least I was warm, but yeah, it was brutal. Anyways.
Continue. And then they didn't film?
They didn't use me that day.
Oh, yeah.
The next day I came back. So I was like, hey, I got paid. So like it worked. But also like, when you're an aspiring actor as I am, it's like you want to be on set. You don't want to be sitting around because then you end up just eating all the snacks at Crafty and it's just never rewarding.
I know. No, the Crafty, I have to I'm like, keep it away from me.
I end up eating like 10 Rice Krispie treats, a bunch of chips, all these things.
Trail mix, like I will go through so many bags of trail mix on set and it's like an unhumanly amount.
It's really dangerous, honestly. Crafty is the greatest and worst thing about a set.
Yeah, or like bananas. It's
For those who aren't familiar, Crafty is basically like a snack bar. When you're on set, there's snack bars set in dedicated areas so that no one passes out from being too hungry or thirsty.
Yeah. You got to keep people well fed, for sure.
Exactly.
You never told me about that. I would have joined you. I like snacks.
But okay, so describing the different roles. Well, it begins with the story. And so the story is made by a writer. And so there's someone who writes the screenplay. The typical screenplay is 90 pages, 90 minutes. Like you can kind of average at that, like 1 page a minute. And then there's a director. And so you say like, okay, the director is someone who is going to basically make the story come to life. And it's like, it's hard to actually say what comes first because once you have the story, then everything happens all at once.
Right.
So I'm actually not going to say what comes next because
it's like the chicken or the egg, right?
Yeah. I mean, the story is definitely first, or should be. And then there's a director, and the director is the person who directs the actors. There are the actors. The actors are the people that are behind the camera, that you see on screen, and they act the characters. I don't know if I'm doing way too
this is perfect.
layman.
This is good.
This is
good for the non-actor people that don't understand.
Think of
acting.
Michael Scott in that one scene where he's like, For the people who don't know, explain it to them as if they didn't understand what was going on.
Okay. All right. Great. I'm like, actors are people.
They're humans.
They're humans. Okay. So director directs the actors. Actors in front of the camera. The writer is the person who wrote the script. In a lot of situations, the director and the writer is the same person. Like me, like you write it, and I know how I see this playing out, so I want to direct it. For example, like I'll write a character based on my mother, and like I know how my mother is, and I don't want someone else directing an actress to be like my mom, which is how I wrote it. And like you could say a simple line like oh gosh, let me think. Okay, like it was expensive or something like that, that the mom would say. And if I wrote that and another person directed it, they might think that the actor is going to say like, it was expensive, but like, I mean it of like, well, it was expensive,
Right.
And so that's a difference. So then there's the producer. Producing is, someone would probably say that's also where the story really like ends up being reality, because the producer is a problem solver. So I didn't realize I liked producing until I realized that I love solving problems. And you just anticipate like all the fires and what you're going to put out on set. But then there's also the pre-production. And so the production is when you film. The pre-production is when you get ready to film. And so pre-production can include like just funding the movie, where to get the money. And then a producer sometimes, helps with the casting, which directors do as well, where, we say, I have this role for the mother. Let's like call all these, like white 40-year-old blondes and cast, And so the producer will help with that and organizing. Basically, the producer is like the logistics. A lot of people like to be creative logistics, which would be casting. But then there's SAG and like unions. And so anyway, the producer essentially does everything. I mean, that's what the producer does. It does everything.
Kind of like the film manager, if you will.
Exactly. And it depends the scale of the movie, because if it's a really like low budget, let's say like no one's getting paid, the producer's going to have less work. If
right.
the more people that get paid, the higher budget it is, the more work the producer has, unless the producer then has the budget to hire a million different people to do everything for them.
Right.
Okay. So anyway, producer essentially does everything. Then there are like the gaffers on set. The gaffer is someone who lights. So like there's a big light thing right there, with the C-stand, which is like a pole. The gaffer puts the pole up and puts the light on it. And then there's a cinematographer, which I should have said before the gaffer. The cinematographer is also referred to as the director of photography, which we say the DP. And so the DP is behind the camera sometimes, most of the time. There's also the camera operator, but I won't get into logistics. But the DP is behind the camera and looks at the frame, and they plot beforehand, the different shots. You can have a storyboard, you can have a shot list, and you say like, okay, we're having an interview. I want one straight on, and then I want like a wide shot so we can see like the whole thing, and then I want like a super close up of your eyes, And so the DP with the director would collaborate and do that. And then there's the assistant director, which basically is the person that makes sure that you finish the day on time. And they're really important because you completely lose track of time. And if you do not finish it on time, then you do not make your movie if you do not have the budget. Mm. And then, there's the editor, which is like, I think just as important as the screenplay, because it's still writing the film. And there are so many films that are completely rewritten in the edit. And it can make or break the movie. Mm. I think there's a quote about like a great director. Oh God, let me think about this. It's something like a bad director with a great editor can make a great film, but a great director with a bad editor is a terrible film. Mm. I don't know what the quote is. It's terrible. I'm like paraphrasing it.
No,
like
that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense to me. I'm with you.
Okay, cool.
So I would imagine for you that it sounds like you were kind of already touching upon it, but I would love to hear your opinion on what part for you is the most exciting and rewarding about filmmaking. Like, is there a particular role for you, or is there a particular or is it just like
I know
when it's all done? Okay, you already know. Go.
I got it. I know exactly what it is, and it's really specific.
Okay.
I mean, I love I actually know. I don't love all aspects of it. Being on set, frankly, is grueling. I mean, it's like 12-hour days. You're standing up. You you feel fat. You got back pain. I mean, it's not pretty. Like,
it's a job.
It's not glamorous. Everyone smells bad. Like, it's not. It's like it's not as glamorous as people think.
You wrap at 12 and then you're back in at 6 a.m. It's like, you're supposed to drive home, shit, shower, shave, eat, and sleep, and then be back in a matter of 6 hours.
And
Good
if
luck.
you're an actor, I mean, you better look good,
right?
Or however the part is, yeah. So that can be tough. That being said, like, it's fun at the same time, you know. And it's really fun directing. Like, it's really fun directing because, again, you can have the same line and do it so many different ways, and then that's really exciting in post. So pre-production before, production during, post-production after. Like, you can decide what fits better in an edit. But anyway, my favorite part is the music. 100%.
Oh,
yeah.
Scores. What does it for you?
I did not think you were going there. That's
Wow.
cool.
Yeah.
That was a good. That really. I did not see that one coming.
Yeah.
What a little sneaky one you got in there.
Well,
Why is
thank
that?
you very much. It's like, that's what a movie is to me. I mean, it's sort of classic. Like, you can think about this with I don't know, whatever, like
Any good film, really.
any good film.
You're
but
so right, though.
you put like, let's get them walking through the hallway, slow motion. Let's get the lighting good. We got the hair in the fan. We got the music.
Yep.
That's the
So
song
then
I
that means
You
you
need-
know exactly what film has your favorite song or score from. So what is it? What's your favorite movie soundtrack, if you will?
Oh shit, I actually don't know.
Oh, okay.
Oh gosh. I mean, I can think, this is like the most commercial film of all time, but like Forrest Gump has a great
so
soundtrack.
good.
I mean, because it's also part of the story, because like they take you through history,
Right.
all along the Watchtower with the Vietnam War. Like, what a hitter.
Yeah.
Honestly, like American Hustle's got a great soundtrack.
Oh, very good.
movie.
Very good.
I mean, Spike Lee's movies all have incredible incredible soundtracks. Do you have one?
I think it kind of rotates quite a bit for me. I will say that my most like consumed type of movie is typically like comedy.
Right.
Because I like to just like laugh and disconnect. So usually those don't tend to, unless it's like a very comedic scene that requires it, obviously, But as of late, one of my favorite shows is Dairy Girls.
I don't know it.
So Dairy Girls is about a group of girls from Ireland during the Troubles and whatnot. And at the end, when they're doing their final montage and goodbyes, it's the Cranberry song.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just like, oh man. And I'm just like, I can't get that out of it's been stuck in my head recently. So for me, that's like what comes to the forefront. But
well, like comedies, like The Hangover.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
The soundtrack to The Hangover. What's that main song when they're
that's a good question.
going through Vegas? Do you know what I'm talking about?
When they're in the car ride, right?
Nah, wait till I get my money back. Da, 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 da.
Oh yeah, yes.
That's the
The Kanye West song, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, in that movie, it's like perfect.
Yeah, it's played so well.
Yeah, and you see them, the slow-mo, the tooth's gone.
It's funny that you say that
hilarious.
because I legit just did a video on my personal social media page that was the Forrest Gump. It wasn't necessarily the soundtrack, but it was when he's talking about it raining, and I did like a New England skit, and it's like, one day it started raining, and it didn't stop for 3 days. Whatever it was. That part? Anyways, so I can
should-
go on tangents. I really need to be controlled. I apologize.
No,
But
not at all. Like, I would probably start finishing your sentences before stop, and that's what this would become. Yeah.
That's
I feel
awesome.
like James Gunn usually does a good job too with like throwing in like some of those like throwback songs.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
stuff.
I mean, what would you say is like the most popular, you think? Maybe like Star Wars?
What, for like a theme song?
Yeah, well, just like a movie with the songs for that's really popular.
Would you consider that songs or like?
It's like a
That's score, yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's like a score, yeah.
Because that's a different answer. Like,
Okay.
So
So I'm learning here then.
well, I mean, they're both so important, but like White Lotus, for example.
Ooh, yeah.
Have you seen like the da da da?
Wasn't a fan of the most recent one. I think season 2 was my favorite.
It was
but
mine too, as well. Yeah.
Yeah, season 1. I had to like be bought in. I was like, I get it, but I don't know if I'm all in. But season 2, I was like, this is great. Plus, I love Jennifer Coolidge. She's so damn funny.
I know. I mean, season 3, I will say, like, I don't know if you were following on TikTok, and we're kind of like going off, but like on TikTok and stuff, people were predicting stuff that was insane. And I felt bad for Mike White, the creator, because I'm like, how is he going to live up to all these TikTok influencers, like, theories? Like, these are great theories, but I doubt that he actually went there, you know?
Right. I think you probably just have to like log off. Like in today's digital world, like once it's out, just like log off.
Yeah.
And let your PR team take care of any collateral things that are coming in with it.
Yeah. And so I feel expectations were so high, and then a large amount of people were disappointed. But yeah, so White Lotus has a great score because they've got that theme song. And I love in movies when they have a theme song. Like in Slumdog Millionaire, that's another great movie, with music.
Such a good
movie. So good. What is it, like Latvia's like theme or whatever? Like when a girl comes on screen every time, a lot of films will have a theme for that person, and then you'll just hear it, and it's almost subconscious. It's like you start to like fall in love with that person, you know, because of their theme song. And so that's original. And so that's like once you've made the movie, most of the time once you've made it, sometimes people do it beforehand, which I have done. You have a composer compose music based on like the emotion. And sometimes it's interesting because for example, if it's like a sad scene, you might not want sad music because then it's like, oh, this is sappy, you know?
Right.
Maybe you want something that's a little more like hopeful, which makes then the scene feel nostalgic, or like there's something tragic if you put maybe something a little bit hopeful with something sad, because it's like an element of being lost. I don't know. You know,
that makes sense. Yeah.
It becomes interesting, and it's also still part of like the writing process and the directing process. Like it's all about creating the mood of the scene. So that's score, but then there's like music supervisors who would then choose, I mean, in a real film, I'll say, like songs that are already out. So
right, they're popular at the time, and
yeah,
you know, Universal owns everything, so they can put the songs in there.
Exactly. So like I'll give as an example in my film a shout out to another Rhode Islander, Emmeline Easton. She's a incredible singer-songwriter from Providence, and she's got like millions of listeners on Spotify. Her song is in my movie, and like I
love that.
Yeah, and it's
keeping it New England.
Gotta keep
So
it
New England podcast. That's our moment right there. It's So New England.
Yep. Yeah, I just produced a music video for her actually.
That's great.
In New York, yeah, and but so like that's not an original score for the film, but that's a song that works really well.
Gotcha.
And so, my uncle actually scored my last couple of movies, original score in that way, and he's incredible. But my favorite part is like choosing the songs to put, like the ones that are already made.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So now you got me thinking. I would probably say my favorite score would have to be Interstellar then, because that's probably my
Yes.
favorite movie of all time.
That's my favorite part. I think that's when it becomes a movie.
Agreed.
Once you have the music. Yeah.
Love that.
So
Music can
let's
make or break a scene.
get into your filmmaking.
Okay.
So the main reason that we were able to connect on this is you have your own short film coming out.
Yes.
Tell us everything that we need to know about it.
Sounds good. So my short film is called How I Learned to Die. I shot it here in Providence, Rhode Island. It's based on my own life. When I was 16, I found out I had a benign tumor in my third vertebra, and I had to go through a very high risk, life-threatening surgery. And so I was a new freshman at a new high school, and wearing a neck brace. And so, let me also say that this is a comedy. and so, I mean, because there was something just so inherently funny about the whole situation in like the face of death even. And so that's what the film is about. It's about Iris, who's 16, who finds out she has a 60% chance of dying in 4 days. And so she creates this bucket list and goes on this journey of sort of like 16-year-old shenanigans, like first kiss, get drunk, drive without a license. And then, over the course of the film, she, realizes what life is really about, essentially.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. I'm trying not to say too much because
Yeah.
it's not out yet, and there should be a level of intrigue.
Yes,
But,
we want people to watch.
yeah. So that's what the film is, and yeah, it's based on my life, and like what the comedy aspect is super important to me because I feel like, you know, looking back now, well, to this day I've had 18 surgeries, and so it's
Oh my goodness.
yeah, it's been
Holy smokes.
yeah, it's been 10 years now. You know, I'm 27, or 11 years, and it's actually my 10-year high school reunion this Friday,
Oh,
which is
sorry to hear that. Unless you enjoyed it, I don't know.
I mean, I won't say
Ours
anything.
was during COVID, so we missed it. Honestly, it's just
We
me.
didn't have one.
You would have loved it because never mind.
We didn't even.
High school quarterback.
Oh.
You know, he was like, this is the guy right here.
Yeah, you were the guy.
Subpar at best.
I mean, I was the girl with the neck brace. So, you know, I went to prom with my neck brace. I went to homecoming. Like, it was ridiculous. Actually, there was one situation where, like, I had a stupid thing on my eye and I had to wear, like, an eye patch. So there was one moment where I had an eye patch and a neck
Oh my
brace.
goodness, you poor thing.
It was
We would have been
ridiculous.
best friends. I wouldn't have let anyone say anything to you. I was totally that guy.
Yeah, well, honestly, I'm going to say this is funny now because, like, you know, I don't know if people watch it who did know me in high school, but like there were people on the football team that would like really stick up for me, you
100%.
know, like guys that were just like, you know, no one like bump into her, you know,
Yeah.
like, she's fragile, whatever. And I loved that and appreciated that. But then of course there were like, you know, like popular cliques and that's the thing about, I mean, that's the thing about coming of age movies in general, but specifically what I want to explore in mine is it's like, I feel that no matter where you are in life, like those things are still relatable.
Always.
Right?
Always.
Yeah. And so this character is basically navigating like something that is very severe and life-threatening, and she's having to face her own mortality. And the people around her, like her parents, her best friend, her boyfriend, they're having to face her mortality while at the same time she's navigating these like frivolous high school situations. So that's what the film is.
That's pretty cool.
Was that like, what kind of experience was that for you emotionally? Sitting down and writing it out, and like, was it cathartic? Like, did you just feel like when you were done, like it was almost like you were kind of, are you almost closing a chapter of your life in some capacity? Not in like a negative way, like putting it behind you, but coming to conclusion with it maybe?
This is a good question. No one's asked me that. I have a lot of thoughts. So when I wrote it, no, I guess I didn't even think about it too much. But when I was filming it, specifically, like there's a scene, you know, in the hospital, and I was like, whoa, I feel like I'm recreating my life. And
Right.
like, I could totally choose like an alternate ending if I wanted. You know what I mean?
Oh, wow.
That's
What a really
insane.
interesting power dynamic. I didn't even
I
think
know.
of that.
Yeah, I was like, I could change like the course of my life if I wanted to in this film, you know, because it is autobiographical. So there was
so surreal.
It was surreal and it was cool. Like there was a moment when, you know, the actors were all like saying the lines and you know, I'm yelling cut, and I was like, whoa, like. And I knew exactly, I mean, that's an example of the directing. I'm like, I knew exactly how it needed to be done. But like, also, I mean, you have to dramatize things, and you can't do it too much like your own life because sometimes life is boring, you know? But yeah, so it did feel cathartic when I was filming it. It felt like I was in control of my life, but of the film, you know.
Did it feel good to have that played out
Yeah.
in a time in your life where there was no control, and you then got to play it back and be totally in control?
Yeah. Yes. I mean, two things like, so for the closing the chapter, that's an interesting question because I will say like, no, I don't feel like I have because when, and this kind of has to do like, so the short is made, and I have a script for the feature film, like the full length version. The short is acting as a proof of concept to prove like Spike's advice, basically prove you can make it into a feature, which we can get into later. But something in the feature that I'm interested in exploring, which is honestly how I feel today, is like, it's like when you go through something like that in your life, sort of how do you like reintegrate? Like, how do you snap back? And that's, I think, really could resonate to a lot of people no matter what they've gone through. But like, if you've experienced something and then you have to be normal again, it's like, what does that mean, be normal? Like, what does that mean, go through your life? And like, I know to this moment in time, you know, I'm constantly thinking of like my mortality, you know, and I do live every day like it's my last, which is another reason why I love New York. I feel like there's that mentality in New York, you know?
Yeah. Soak up every minute.
Yeah, exactly. And so this film, I think, has let me explore that side of me more. You know, it's almost like I want the chapter to be open still because that's so much of who I am, you know? And that was just like what incited it. I don't know if that's a word.
No, it makes sense.
Yeah.
And the reason why I get curious about that is because, and you nailed it perfectly on the last statement, is like, it's part of your story. I feel like in a majority of mainstream stuff is when we go through traumatic experiences or things that happen to us or for us or however you want to word it that really hurt, we always kind of get this notion like we need to put this behind us instead of learning to grow along with it and share it in a peaceful, productive way for your life, like long term. And that's why I wasn't sure. Like some people, when they write films and they make it, they're like, yes, I made this. I needed to get it behind me. It's off my head. It's like, it's closing story.
Right.
But you're saying like, no, this is me telling my story and sharing it so that I can carry it with me forever.
Forever. Yeah. Yeah. And that is something also in the film. I mean, like the main, I don't know if the word, the main thing, you know, I want people to like see, or I mean, one of the things is resilience. And like, I think it's really important, you know, everyone always says like, especially in this day and age, but I mean it, that like, you don't succumb to tragedy always. Like you must persevere, you must have resilience. And, you know, humor is a great way to get through things. And sometimes when things are like so devastating, there are funny moments within the devastating. And like,
absolutely,
I love those, you know? So yeah, I mean, I could, yeah. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, finish.
No, I was just gonna say like, I can think of like so many examples. Like I remember one time I had to this is not in the film at all or anything, but I was feeling so bad about my body. I'd been wearing this neck brace, like, you know, you're like sort of baby fat, 16 years old. Like I just was feeling miserable and I was really like not doing well one day. And the doctor had to do a lumbar puncture, you know, in your spine. And like where they put like a huge needle in and like suck out your like spinal fluid essentially.
Oh my God.
And I was like, oh, I really like, you know, I really don't want to do this, blah, blah, blah. And the doctor was like, you know, we should be able to do it successfully on the first try, because, you know, you're slim, so we can see your spine. And I was like, thank you so much. It was like, sold. You do as many as you want, you know, like, please.
Say that again.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
Yeah. And so, like, that's, like, really a small example of, like, in that moment, you know, like, we all laughed. Like, the doctor, my mom, me, you know.
That's great.
Yeah.
I find that very comedic in a way that's like, it's such a relief because you can't help but be like, oh my God, did he just call me skinny?
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like that's
whatever you want, doc.
Yeah.
Oh my God. What are we? We getting dinner after this?
Yes.
What would you say was the hardest thing to learn growing up?
Probably learning how to like use, save, or spend money.
You legit worked in banking, did you not?
You're welcome.
Are you still with Dime Bank or are you too Hollywood now?
Okay, rude, but yes, I am.
Imagine your followers finding out you're with a Connecticut-based bank.
Okay, first of all, they have a branch in Wesley, Rhode Island, which is where we grew up. So really that's brownie points because I'm sticking to my roots. Second, I think everyone would appreciate that I'm with a bank that knows and understands their community. Their tagline is legit, community banking lives here.
Hey, I'm not asking you to sell me on it. I've been banking with them for years, and they know me on a first-name basis. I'm just saying, I'm surprised is all. I can see the headlines now. Mr. Anti-Connecticut actually banks with local community bank?
Okay, you know what? Follow along with me here. They're FDIC insured, equal housing lenders, wicked friendly. They take care of all my personal needs, have expansive products to help all my businesses, offer lending across the board, merchant services. What more could I possibly want or need? And you know that I secretly like Connecticut, so...
So I hope you heard that, folks. Dime Bank is the reason Ian loves Connecticut.
Okay, you're ridiculous. Funny story though. You know how they have like the mobile app with like banking, Lifesaver. You can do all the deposits. Have you tried to teach your mom how to do the mobile deposit
No.
yet? I was teaching my mom how to do it, and she takes a selfie instead of the check. Visit dimebank.com to learn more.
So I'll write a small script, and I stick to the lines almost verbatim because I know exactly why I wrote what I wrote. And I have him over here going off on just making up lines, totally riffing, which again, it's his personality. I write it knowing he's going to do that. But like, do you feel like in today's age of like, is it filmmatography? Is that the right word? Filming, directing, that more people are, because they're so good at acting or so good at that part of it, that's being like more and more okay, where scripts are becoming, they're there almost like a guideline.
Oh my goodness.
Instead of like, you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean,
I've
What he's
always
asking
wanted.
is what is your opinion on Blake Lively and Justin Baldini? JK. Sorry.
yeah, no religion, politics, or Blake Lively. But okay, I think it depends on who the director is. Like, there'd be a little bit of that would like fly with me, but like for the most part, like you got to stick to the script. But it depends. It depends the scene. Like if there's like an outrage scene or something like that, someone's freaking out and like there's a monologue, I'd be like, it's fine if you go off a little bit, you know, like if they keep getting like stumped up, it's or whatever, like, you know, like if it's getting in the way of the acting, of the believability, then yeah, you should change the line. Like I think in the end, all that matters is that it's believable. And so, you know, you can catch, like it could be an incredible film and then it's like the person who's serving the coffee, like you can just tell they're acting and it's like, oh, like that ruins the movie. It completely ruins it because you suddenly know like they're acting. So in that situation, like if it helps to make it believable, but I don't know. Maybe it depends on the level, like, you know, maybe, like with TikTok and stuff like that. If you're doing little things like that, it's fine. But if you're like in a, I mean,
maybe because social media is so, and I could be just totally out of left field with that, but social media is so prone to, you can see so much more behind the scenes stuff. Because like I feel like 10, 15 years ago, any behind the scenes stuff was either special DVD or you had to buy an extra VHS.
Right.
You know, nowadays they make,
It's all on YouTube.
they'll make
It's
a
all
movie
Yeah.
or they'll make a show, and then you know damn well there's a behind the scenes for it. So you see like the big comedies that are like, you know, hey, I know this was the line, but I'm Will Ferrell, so I'm going to say it how I want to say it.
Okay,
And you
yeah.
can't,
Yeah.
it's Will Ferrell, like he speaks for himself, kind of,
Totally.
you know.
I think she's making a great point. I think
Yeah.
it's all directorial and it's all
Yeah.
like certain scenes call for it.
Right,
yeah.
right.
Or the
That's so
prestige of
cool.
the actor.
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean, if it's Will Ferrell, like if Will Ferrell's gonna act in my movie, I'm gonna say you can say whatever you want.
Yeah, right.
You know, like
Read the script, do whatever you want.
no, yeah, go ahead. Like,
Yeah.
Got it. That's fair.
I worked with, so I did actually, this is the irony of it. So I worked on Daddy's Home 2, and the scene that I was in was actually while they were at an improv comedy scene night. So there was Improv Boston. All their actual performers were the day players that were all on stage. And it was John Lithgow, Mark, and I don't think Mel Gibson was there that day, but then Will. And then, you know, they had to do like 4 or 5 takes, and it's like, every time was very different so that they
Yes.
could, and the director, Sean Anders, I think it is, but he was kind of just like, okay, it was very evident that the first 2 takes were, this is the script, now give us whatever you want.
Right.
And that's kind of the best way to do
I
it.
was
And
gonna
that's
say,
why
I
she's
feel-
talking about post-production.
Yeah, no, I
Not
totally
to answer
get
your
that,
question,
yeah.
but
no, yeah,
Yeah. No, it was just to spark it because, you know, again, he talked about acting, and I know I've seen his film. I'm his biggest fan. I love his acting. Ford, remember? You were in the Ford documentary.
oh yeah, that was my first, but that was just,
No lines.
Just
It was
background.
perfect.
it's all background.
You were hilarious in the one that I was co-directing with Sophia, like a couple months ago.
Funny, not hilarious. Don't go there.
He was hilarious. I was crack. It was hard not to laugh like with the sound on set.
It is.
It was really funny.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. I think more so just because it was, you guys kind of gave me the free range, like make these faces. And I was like, all right, cool. That's like easy for me to do. I'm very animated with my hands and my face and stuff like that. But the irony is like performance wise, like my TikToks and my Instagram, love comedy, enjoy it.
Yeah.
Give me a very hard drama, and that's my bread and butter. That's where I want to look raggedy. I want to look tired, and I want to be sad. That's the kind of stuff that I like to perform.
That's what you want?
That's what I want.
Well,
It's crazy, right?
yeah. I mean, I get it. Actors are wild. Like, I'm always in awe. I'm in complete awe of actors. Like, the things that they have to do over and over and over. And it's honestly, like, it's not just acting. It's like your body. You're like, you have to put your emotion in it. Even if you're playing pretend, like, half of life is honestly faking it. So,
Right.
like, it's not that different. Like, I really admire actors. But with the comedy thing, like, I think that the most successful comedies are the ones where you can tell that they take it really seriously. Like, they don't think, I mean, the actors in it don't think it's a comedy. Like, they are taking the situation so seriously.
Right.
So, like, the scene that you're in Sophia's film, like, it's a ridiculous, funny scene, but his character is, like, taking it very seriously, and that's what makes it funny. Because if you were, like, also having fun, then it's not funny.
Right.
Do you get what I mean? It's hard to explain, but, like, you
To have a serious situation, have someone be very deliberately eccentric, and, like, you'd be like, oh, why is he acting like that? That's a little off, a little weird, versus
like, we know as an audience, like, again, it's hard to not name, like, exactly the scene, but, like, we know it's basically like someone having a fantasy and, like, freaking out at two people, and he's one of the people that she's freaking out at. It's ridiculous, the scene, like, completely absurd. And so as an audience member, we're watching it thinking, like, this is absurd. But since he is taking it so seriously, that's what makes it funny. But if you were all like, oh my God,
Yeah.
blah, blah, then it's, like, not as funny.
Yeah.
I don't know what the
it
psychology
makes sense to
is.
me. I get it.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I follow.
Yeah.
That's
Awesome.
interesting.
Yeah.
So when it comes to movie consumption versus movie production, do you have, like, are they one and the same, or are they very different? Like I said, like, I love comedies, but if I was going to perform, I would prefer to perform in the dramas. So from a director standpoint, is there one film genre that you prefer to direct more than the other? Or is it all just about script for you and story?
Honestly, I don't think, like, I think I know what I wouldn't necessarily direct, which potentially would be, like, horror. Like, I get scared pretty easily, to be honest.
Twins.
Yeah.
I hate horror films.
I was,
Easiest industry to break into, by the way. Like,
It is,
as an actor,
exactly.
I get castings all the time where people are like, you want to be a horror? I'm like, no, I don't. I don't want to go to an abandoned home and film with you at 3:00 in the morning. And
Exactly.
then
I was gonna say-
but we need to be real. I was like, look, Hollywood on a set where
Yeah.
I'm getting paid money and I can feel safe, sure. But we
There's
are
a
in
big
Boston. You want to go film in Salem?
no way.
Like, I kind of believe in some shit. So, like,
Me too.
let's not go
Count me
conjure the
out.
bad spirits, please.
Exactly.
There's a big difference though between
No, he's a horror guy.
You can
Big,
see-
nothing scares him. Nothing.
No, but I know you're behind set. You can see what's happening. It doesn't matter.
No, not that. I
yeah.
know that. I know that with him. He'd be scared no matter what.
Yeah.
I feel like, though, when you watch a movie that you're like, that is clearly actors trying to make it. And I respect that for them trying to make it, but that was a bad horror movie compared to that was a good horror movie. Because that's where, when you guys were talking about soundtracks and scores and all that, my mindset went right to horror.
Oh yeah. Horror is a great example.
Because you, like, put something on that's like a scene from a horror movie and put a funny, goofy, like, TikTok sound by it. It's not scary at all.
Yeah, I gotcha.
But then you put the Through the Tulips
kinda make
song
or
on
break us.
anything and you're like, I think I'm going to shit my pants.
Yeah, I mean,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's, and it's
love
it is the most accessible to get into,
Yeah.
like, as a filmmaker too, because you think of Jaws, like, you don't even see the shark for the first half. Like, it's just the camera,
Yeah.
and it's just the camera with the, like, dun, dun,
Yeah.
you know, and like, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
But it's so easy to make. Like, any of us could do that. You
Right.
know, you just put something scary and, like, have a camera look like someone's watching you, and it's scary. But yeah, so I wouldn't do. I mean, I would, depending on, you know, it's like, hire me if you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm a total scaredy cat. We had a during COVID film and at night in a cemetery. I was like, I can't go to the bathroom on my own. Like, someone's gonna come with
Yeah,
me. Like even behind the camera directing the scene that was scary. Like, I almost had to close my own eyes behind the monitor because I was like, this is too scary. Like, so,
No chance.
So,
You're
yeah,
Doing a good
okay.
job.
I did, what was
That's
it? Not
so funny.
Nosferatus. Remember when that filmed here in Rhode Island?
I didn't know that it filmed here.
Yeah, Nosferatus filmed all here, all through Rhode Island. And they were in Exeter and West Greenwich, like, a lot.
What?
And I did a night scene. And they were vampires at that point or whatever creature. And I was just like, nope. You want to go to set? No, I don't. I'll be at Crafty. Thank you very much. Like,
did you see the rats on set or no?
What's that?
Did you see all the rats on set or no?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
Yeah, it was, I mean, I did like 2 or 3 different scenes and most of them were during the day. One of them was at like a funeral scene. The other one was at a house party in East Greenwich. Mm-hmm. And then the other one was like the night scene. And I was playing a paramedic. So I just went, I just pulled the gurney and just went in and I just shut the doors. I was like, keep those doors shut. But then like when you went out and said like everything's happening at this house and then on the other side of like my ambulance, just a black road all the way down, no lights. I'm like, can we stop? Wait,
are we thinking of the Lily Rose Depp film? What are we getting confused between 2 different movies or no wait?
Nosferatu was a show on AMC.
Oh, okay, I'm thinking of the movie Nosferatu.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. That just came out. The brand new.
Yes,
okay,
I
no.
was like, what?
So there was a Nosferatu show that filmed here that was on AMC in like 2019, I think it was.
Okay.
Because it was prior to COVID. I remember that. So
I'm like an EG party house.
Yeah.
Movie. Yeah. Okay.
I totally forgot that just came out, and I heard that was really scary, but very good.
Yeah. Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes to both. But yeah.
Okay, so the other question I have for you is when it comes to now that your film is done and you are now going to release it and do like a film festival run, like kind of talk to the audience and let people know, because I feel like in the industry, as you like to say, like everyone's like, oh, it's going to do like a run. It's going to be, and it's a short form. It's a short film. But like the average consumer has no idea. And they're like, this won awards at like Rhode Island Film Festival and Sundance. And I was like, cool. What? I don't get that. Like not everyone totally understands it. So I would love to understand if you wouldn't mind explaining to the audience what that is. But also kind of the significance and importance it is for you, because this is a proof of concept. Explain what that is and all that kind of jazz.
Okay. So film, there's something called a film festival circuit, and that essentially is like once you've made the movie, you apply to film festivals, and film festivals can be either really big, really small, really prestigious, really welcoming, so my short film is going to have its world premiere, as in like no one has seen it yet. The first time audience members are going to see it is going to be at Tribeca. So Tribeca is a film festival in New York City, and basically people apply to it, and it's one of the more prestigious ones, and they take a select amount of filmmakers, and then they screen your films for a large audience, like essentially in kind of a movie theater environment, which is how you want your film to be seen for the first time. And then after that, people continue to apply to film festivals. So hopefully after that, I'll hopefully be going to the Rhode Island Film Festival, Flickers, which will be a similar situation. So like environment wise, it's essentially like a movie theater in which people can watch your film. Best case scenario for a filmmaker. The other great thing about it is like people know what the Oscars are, but the Rhode Island Film Festival, for example, is Oscar qualifying. And so if they vote your film with the grand jury prize, like you go to the Oscars. Your short film will go to the Oscars. And that's a huge deal. And so, and then there's other ways too. It's like if you win awards at a certain amount of Oscar qualifying, like your film can also be, you can go to the Oscars as well. But not like the Oscars is like the end goal for people. Essentially, film festivals give you like the credentials and the environment in which you want your film to be seen. And then after that, you can post it online or do whatever. So that's that. But the other thing as far as like industry goes is a lot of people in the industry, as in like talent agents or investors would be best case scenario. Like people who want to help with development will go to these film festivals and scout essentially and be like, okay, like you just made a great film. I want to see what you have next. Like, do you have a script for another film? Great. I'm going to give you $2 million to make it. That's like best case scenario. That's crazy to say out loud because it rarely happens quite easily. But that does happen.
But for you, it's going to happen. We're going to manifest it.
Yeah. Or like, so for example, like Sundance, A24, like a very famous production company, A24, they'll go to Sundance and they'll say, I like that film. Like I'm going to be the distributor, as in like, I'm going to be the person that makes it go on streaming and like be in charge of making sure that it reaches a larger audience. And so that's like the biggest perk that people hope to get from these film festivals. But it's not the only way. I mean, you could make a short and then you could know somebody and send it to A24 yourself.
Right.
But for me, the biggest thing, and I'm just saying shorts as an example, but film festivals also have feature films. But the main thing for it is really like a launching pad. I'd say like that's like, to summarize it, film festivals are a launching pad to what's next, hopefully. And so in my case, I have this feature film idea, How I Learned to Die. I worked with Spike Lee at NYU, and he teaches at NYU, and he recommended, like, okay, you've got this great story, you should make it into a short film. A short film, and you would understand this being business, can prove to the audience that like, or prove to investors that this can be longer. Like that you can take, if you can take $20,000 and make this, then you can take $2 million and make that something even more. And so it's a good business model. For arts.
It's essentially a sales pitch is what you're getting at.
Exactly. It's a pitch. But also like that's, the short I made like lives on its own. Like I made it to make the short in it of itself, but also I want people like wanting to know more.
Right.
And so that's where the feature comes in. So for me making this short, I want people to see it and they want more, and then I want to make the feature. I mean, that's essentially it.
Awesome. And what qualifies a short film? Is there like a particular length, like time-wise, on where is the cutoff? Like how long can it be before it's no longer a short film?
Yeah, there's like some good times and some bad times.
Because I've seen shorts as little as 4 to 5 minutes, and
Yeah.
I've seen shorts that have been like 45 minutes. And I'm like,
Nah.
doesn't feel like a short anymore.
45 minutes is like a bad time. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to watch something 45 minutes if they call it a short. That's just like pretentious.
Right.
To be honest. And like, but I would say under 30 minutes is a short for me. Above 30 minutes is like kind of like, what are you doing? Like, is this a movie or like a pilot of a TV show?
Right.
There's like technicalities. Like sometimes like 4 minutes could be called like a micro short, or like 2 minutes would be a micro short. I think like in between 10 and 20 minutes is like the best time. People say, like I've heard like 12 minutes is like the best time, but it doesn't matter. Like sometimes a 12-minute film can feel forever, and then you watch a 30-minute thing and it feels like it went by like that.
Right.
Exactly.
Depending on how well it's produced and
Yeah.
directed and written.
That's too funny.
Yeah.
Cool.
Do you have a director that you really admire, that you pull a lot of your inspiration from?
It's so hard to say because there are directors. This is something that I'm still like trying to figure out on my own, because there are directors that I really admire. The classic thing that I would say is like Greta Gerwig. You know what I mean?
Yeah. She directed Little Women, by the way.
I know.
I'm sure you know that. I don't know why I'm telling you, but
No, and like Lady Bird and stuff like that. So
love
it's
Lady
like,
Bird. Saoirse Ronan.
Yeah, like
Heart her so much.
I can say there are a lot of like movies that inspire me. So I'll say this, like, okay, Greta Gerwig is a great example of somebody who, like I love the way that what she's done with her career. Like Lady Bird is a great first feature, coming of age, like that's what I'm doing, and then she moved on to something as commercial as Barbie, which is what was incredible.
Right.
And so like I really admire, her trajectory in that sense. There are other like films that I really admire the craft of, but it's not necessarily, it's hard to find a director where it's like every film has been perfect. You know what I mean?
Right. But that's unrealistic. I mean,
yeah. I mean, like Spike Lee, I'll say as an example, because he makes films so often, and like I admire that work ethic of like, I'm going to make a movie, and then I'm going to make the next movie, and then I'm going to do the next movie, and like, he talks about how he wrote "Do the Right Thing" in like,
I don't want to butcher this, but I think like 12 days or like a week or something. Like,
Damn.
yeah. So, you know, he gets
Sounds
it done.
like he just has so much going on that he has to get it out.
Yeah. Yeah. And so
You should try TikTok. It's a lot easier.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's something I really admire is like the work ethic in that. And then obviously I love his films. And what I also love about Spike Lee movies is like the dialogue. Like he's got that like New York energy and the dialogue is so fast. I hear a lot of people in film school say like less dialogue. And I get the whole mentality like show, don't tell. But also, like, I love to hear people talk, you know? Ari Astra is, like, another psychological, you know, horror. Like, Midsummer, like, I was able to watch. But, like, the other stuff, like, I can't watch Hereditary. Like, I can't watch this. Yeah. But, yeah, that's interesting.
I would love to get your perspective on this. Now, this is from, like, an artist to a director type of question. But when it comes to formal and traditional training in both the directorial stance and the, you know, actor stance, do you feel that it's incredibly necessary? Like one of the things that is major in the industry is like, oh, I'm classically trained at Juilliard or NYU, or, you know, for actors like, oh, I'm a method actor. And I'll tell you the truth. This is a quick backstory. I have tried college a few different times. One of them, I went back to Community College of Rhode Island to take on some acting classes. And the actor who was my teacher, phenomenal. I mean, he's just great at what he does. But we were doing the Glass Menagerie reenactment scene. And I kind of turned the scene into a bit more comedic than it needed to be. However, the response of the class was that everyone laughed. And in my mind, if everyone laughed, everyone's enjoying the scene, then I'm doing a good enough, believable job. But he stopped me to say that when you're doing comedy, that it's in a cadence of 3. And when he told me that, he's like essentially telling me that you have to do, when you have anything funny that occurs, it needs to happen in levels of 3 or repetitive. I didn't really get it. I dropped the class immediately after that because I am so in my head already. I can't have someone else telling me like how a movement needs. I can be directed. That's not what's in question. It's telling me that in my mind, I'm never going to go for a role that I know I can't organically do.
Right.
That's it. I know what my limits are, and I'm not going to I'm not interested in bending my body and my mind to do something that it can't do. I don't want to be Christian Bale. Yeah. So I'm just like, in my mind, I'm like, I don't know if I need the formal training. It's like, either I'm good for this role or I'm not. And it's just like, it's going to work or it's just not going to work.
Right.
And I don't think that $100,000 degree is going to change that for me.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious because art is expressive in my mind.
Right.
Art is fluid. Art can be whatever you want it to be. Yeah. So to put that into a box, as the industry does, has always been kind of difficult for me to accept.
He's a peacock. You got to let him fly.
Love that line. Improvised, by the way. Anyways. So so I'm just curious your stance on.
It's a good question.
Yeah.
It's a really good question. I can tell you like right off the bat that I do not think with actors you need it. Like the girl who's in my film, it was her first film. And,
love that.
And like
good for her.
And it's because it's a casting. Like what you were saying too. I mean, that's a job. Like I would never put you in a role that I didn't see you in. And so they always say, I think it's like 90% of acting is casting or something like that, which totally makes sense. Yeah, I think that like, obviously there are some people that are just like not believable and like really rigid, but like they wouldn't be in a movie in the first place. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think hopefully, but like, yeah. So basically right off the bat, no, I don't think you need the formal training with acting. And I do think that sometimes it would like get in your head and that is bad. And like the last thing that you want to do is be in your head. You want to just like be in the moment and it's all about like being present. And I think that acting is a like human behavior and you are a human. And so if you're, you know, playing a role, like essentially you have to be that role. Maybe that's like not allowed to say because sometimes roles are terrible and like I don't want you to like be the role, but anyway, so yeah, so I don't think that you need the formal. I do not think you need the formal training for actors. And they say all the time, like we want fresh faces, like we want people talk about like non-actors. They want non-actors to be in a role. And sometimes like non-actors are better than like the Juilliard trained ones because the Juilliard trained ones, it's like, oh, you're being a good actor versus like, whoa, like I'm just in the story. Like it's like the character, you know? I think when you watch a movie sometimes, like I've watched movies and they're like, oh wow, that's a good actor. And I'm like, the fact that you're even, I don't know, it depends. Like if I'm saying like, oh yeah, that's really good at acting, half the time I'm acknowledging that they're acting. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
It really depends. It really depends with the acting bit. I think that you do kind of need the training though in other departments, especially
if it requires like tools and skills, it kind of makes sense.
Especially cinematography. Yeah. I mean, cinematography, I definitely think that you need the formal training.
I just think more of like a director and a writer. It's like, if you've got a story to tell, you don't have to know anything about movies if you know how to tell a story.
Yeah, I know. I mean, that's an interesting one. Like, I'm not quite sure how I feel about that with the writing. I kind of want to say that you should know. With writing, I think that you should, like, it's not like you need the degree, but I want to say that, like, you should know, like, what people have done before you. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, people have studied this for so long, and, like, if you were to just be like, I know how to do this, and, like, not study what other people have done, there's something that rubs me the wrong way about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I totally
do you
get
think
that.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, like, there is a certain amount of, like, yeah, you learn about, like, the first act, second act, third act, or, like, maybe there's 5 acts, and, like, the inciting incident, and, like, there is a certain amount of, like, what will be the most helpful for the audience to enjoy the film, like, what they're used to. I don't know. So I think that, yeah, you gotta, like, be educated in who came before you as far as writing goes, and, like, the craft of that. Then if you want to break all of the rules and do whatever the heck you want, like, be my guest, you know? So yeah, that's my answer. I don't think you need the formal training for actors, and I think sometimes it can be for the worse if you have it, actually. And then for directing, I don't know. I don't even know how you teach directing. You just have to start doing it over and over and over again, you know?
Repetition.
Yeah. I think that, like, honestly, the most helpful thing for directors would be to study psychology. You know, like, not even like the art of directing, but like learn about, like, humans and, like, how the brain works and, like, why we act the way we do, you know?
All right, so let's get into the So New England segment.
Oh, gosh.
Here we go.
Now, this is a question I ask a lot of people here. However, you are going to be the most qualified individual to answer this.
Okay.
Dun, dun, dun.
We have a lot of movies filmed here in New England.
Oh, my God.
And a lot of them are based on, obviously, Boston being our main city in all of New England.
Right.
But I would love to hear your opinion on maybe the best or your favorite New England-based film.
Oh, my goodness.
Obviously, we have a lot of New Englanders here who often just reference Boston. So The Town is a very popular
Right,
one.
like Departed.
The Departed is a really popular one. Good Will Hunting. We got a gem the other day with Grown Ups, because that was filmed in New Hampshire. Hubie Halloween with Adam Sandler was also in.
I was going to say, I have
Mass.
one, but no one said it yet. I'm going to wait. It's going to be very prolific if someone says it. Till we get to episode 100, then
I can't wait to find out that he realizes that film wasn't made here. That's going to be the
No,
best
I've done
part.
my research. I've done my research to make sure. I've thought about this.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, so I'm just going to say, for the record, you think I'm the most qualified. I live under a rock. Like, I genuinely live under a rock. Like, if you were to start asking me, like, directors' names, like, actors' names, like, I'm really not that good at, like, I don't know anything about celebrities.
Names are hard.
I don't know anything about places. Like, it's pretty bad.
That's a good thing.
I guess.
I mean, and honestly, as an actor too, like, a lot of people will ask me stuff. I'm like, they're like, I thought you were an actor. I was like, that doesn't mean I know everything. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm also an uneducated actor. I was like, I'm honestly just ADHD and I like to be in front of a camera. That's really what's happening here, guys. I'm not like, I'm not DiCaprio.
Right.
You know? I was like, I'm like Mark Wahlberg at best. Okay. I'm the same guy in every movie, just a different outfit and haircut.
Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah. It's like,
all right. So, like, the thing I'm thinking of immediately, I'm thinking of things that are shot in Rhode Island, like Moonrise Kingdom and, like, Dan in Real Life and stuff like that.
Dan in Real Life. Great movie. They shot that in Westerly, if you guys remember.
Yeah.
Alley Cat's
Shout
Bowling
out
Alley with
Cleats.
Dane Cook.
And they shot on Hope Street with 7 Stars. It was like called Yummies or something like that. I remember it was awesome at the time.
That yummy.
Okay, so, like, favorite movie oh my goodness.
Dan in Real Life is a great answer if you want to rock with that.
I just haven't seen forever. Like, I feel like I'd be a fraud.
Me, Myself, and
to say.
Irene.
Oh yeah, we got the
Jim Curry.
Yeah, I guess I'll say I kind of feel like there's like a TV show too, like The Perfect Couple I watched over the summer.
Damn it. You ruined it. That wasn't it. You made me triple check my already double check. You bastard.
What was it?
It is Me, Myself, and Irene.
Oh, sorry.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well.
Great movie. Well, there we go. Now the cat's out of the bag.
Now it's ruined.
Yeah. All right. You know what? I'll say, just to say something, I think I actually will say Moonrise Kingdom.
Okay. I don't know that one.
It's Wes Anderson.
Okay.
And they shot it, I think, in Newport or like North Kingston.
Wow.
And it's cute.
Okay.
Edward
I'll have
Norton
to
is in
Yeah. check that one out.
Yeah. 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 You should watch that.
Awesome.
I mean, it's Wes
What was the one with Ben Stiller that I'm drawing a blank on right now?
Oh,
They shot at Hot Club, not Hot Club.
it's another Fairley Brothers film, or no?
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
It's so it's not Dumb and Dumber. She's Mary. Something about Mary.
Something About Mary.
Okay, so actually,
Great movie.
Yes, yeah, they filmed that in Providence, but there's like one scene, like all the housing scenes are actually in LA. They filmed.
Really?
Yeah, I was
Bastards.
I know. I was
Bastards.
disappointed in that.
You know what's so crazy, and this is so weird, but this is like a random fun fact that I'm going to share. So I love New Girl. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the
Love
show.
New Girl.
In the pilot episode, the outside shot, the establishing shot of the bar scene is actually Hanley's Pub in Providence.
No way.
Before it was Hanley's. I'm looking at it, I'm like, dude, that's Hanley's. And I don't know if you remember. I
remember
Hanley's.
Hanley's.
I was like, tell me this is not Hanley's outside, like in the establishing shot of New Girl.
knew
So
that.
random.
That's crazy.
It's almost like,
Wait, is Hanley still here?
no, it's something else now. It's not Hanley's anymore, but it's like, another bar.
Yeah,
that
because in
everyone-
college it was
Moonshine
like, let's go
Alley
to
now, I
Hanley's.
Yeah, it's like kind of like every Providence bar. It's like they let everyone in underage because
Right.
that's how it's the only way they can make money and stay open by Jay Wu. So
for sure. I remember Victor Spoils. Do you remember that place?
no,
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah.
It's like- but okay, yeah, that's so random.
it's so random. I'll have to send you the clip and be like, is this not the weird? And then it turned into like the old brick building out in LA that they ended up changing it to after the pilot. But
Yeah, and Sex Lives of College Girls, which have you guys seen?
yes,
Oh, you have? Okay, great.
yes,
Awesome.
I have.
I was sort of like at low expectations that you'd seen it, but great. There's a shot in one of the episodes where like the two girls who are gay, they kind of go on a trip together.
Okay.
And it's supposed to take place, I don't know where, but not Providence. And it's like a wide establishing shot of downtown Providence. I paused it. I was like, oh my God, it's Providence.
Yeah, so random.
Yeah.
What? There was another movie that just did that too. What was the one with John Cena where he plays
Andrew Santino, John Cena.
the John Cena movie where he plays
Ricky Stanicky?
Yeah, Ricky
Ricky Stanicky was
Stanicky. They
based
shot
in
the whole
Providence.
movie in Australia, but the whole movie is based in Rhode Island. So all of the established,
They did a couple scenes over by the coming from the airport.
yeah, they didn't do any scenes here in Rhode Island. They didn't film at all. They used
Yeah, pretty sure they did.
no, they never. I'm telling you, they never actually
I'll have to
filmed
watch
in
it
Rhode
again
Island.
and check.
She'll
I thought it was
explain.
good.
Have the director explain to you how that works. But
I know how it
none of the
works.
shots. They didn't film anything here in Rhode Island, but there's a ton of establishing shots here in Rhode Island, and like they'd be like, "Oh, let's go down the road," and then it's just like North Main Street, and I'm like, "What?" Yeah,
That's crazy.
super weird. Anyways,
Yeah.
okay, so Rising Kingdom, right? Am I saying that right?
Moonrise Kingdom.
Moonrise Kingdom.
I guess I'll say Moonrise Kingdom, yes.
Moonrise
If I
Kingdom
have
is
to
the
choose.
answer.
Yes.
Okay, so now I am curious. I'm going to curate this food question here because I usually do like
Okay.
favorite New England foods. However, what is the better city for food? New York or Providence?
Providence.
Wow.
I will-
With all the options in New York, you still think Providence has got to
I'll
beat?
die on that hill.
Wow.
Providence.
You
On
said
that federal hill.
fast too with
Yeah, no, I brag about it in New York. I mean, Providence, don't we have like the most restaurants per capita or something like that?
Probably. I would
got
believe
the
that.
best hot
It's definitely the
wieners,
most
that's for
Italian,
sure.
that's for sure.
Yeah, no, Providence food, definitely. Actually, like even like the Starbucks is better here. Which is, like,
Wow.
I shouldn't even say that.
I don't even know what that is. I've never heard of it. We only drink Dunkin' here.
So true. Yeah, no, Providence food, definitely. Every time I bring anyone from New York to Providence, they're like, wow, the food here is so good.
Yeah, we got the best food.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Have you thought about this question? I asked you before you got here. We have 6 beautiful states here in New England. If you could bring one state or city from around the world, what would it be?
I'm going to have to say what I said before.
You're going to say it, aren't you?
I'm going to say it.
You're going to bring New York up here?
I would do, I part of me feels like I would get issues in New York for saying it. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the New Yorkers would be like, to hell with you.
Yeah.
You know? But I'm gonna say New York because like I said, I think that like, you know, if the Rhode Islanders, the real Rhode Islanders were to meet the real New Yorkers, like we all rule the world. That's
This is
what
true.
I think. Yeah. You guys
All
are
right.
like, not really, no.
I'll allow it, I
with
guess.
it, I
You're just
guess.
bringing up another state with more bad weather, but whatever. I was hoping you bring in the sunshine a little bit.
We are having 7 full days of rain in New York right now.
That's brutal. That means it's on its way to us. Can't wait.
Yeah,
At least if I had to guess,
Friday,
maybe it'll
Saturday,
show up
Sunday.
Friday afternoon around 4 o'clock when everyone gets out of work.
Yeah,
yeah,
And
yeah.
it'll last until about 10 p.m. Sunday night.
For my high school reunion, it's
Yeah.
perfect. Actually, my second option of what to bring would be Seattle.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, we need that rain too.
Looming rain clouds.
Okay, so another question we like to ask is we like to rank our New England states here.
Okay.
Would you want to dabble in that
Yeah.
for us?
Yeah,
I'm
let's-
assuming you're going to say Rhode Island is number 1.
Definitely Rhode Island is number 1.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to say number 2. Okay, you're going to have to need to remind me. all
Yes.
6 of those.
Massachusetts,
Yeah.
New Hampshire, Vermont, Maine, and then Connecticut.
Okay, I'm going to
And then
say
Rhode Island, of course, but-
Maine second. Then I'm going to say Connecticut third.
Whoa.
Then I'm
Pretty high for Connecticut. We usually don't allow that, but I guess you go through Connecticut a lot to get to New York.
Yes,
So
I like the Amtrak views in Connecticut. That's exactly
it is
why
beautiful.
I'm
It goes
saying-
right by Niantic. It's very gorgeous over there.
Yes.
Very good.
Okay,
10
so
seconds.
Rhode Island, Maine, Connecticut, Vermont, then Massachusetts. Did I say Massachusetts already? No.
Nope, you're good.
I'm
That's
saving-
5.
And then New Hampshire.
Wow. Okay. That might be the first time the list has ever
Yeah.
been like that.
That is
Really?
definitely
That was a unique-
Yeah,
That was a unique one.
very good.
We'll allow it.
I'll be
Definitely
thinking
gonna
about it forever
remember the
now.
old box and whisker plots in high school. That's an outlier. That's a math joke. You wouldn't get it.
Yeah, box and whiskers. What are you
I
talking
wouldn't
about?
get it either. Yeah.
You're talking to artists,
Box
not
and
mathematicians.
This is why I was so bad
This
at
is
math.
business.
what
Clip
kind of-
that, please. Clip that. I can't deal with this.
Fantastic. Okay, so for anyone that is interested in following along with your career, as well as tapping into information about how they might be able to get their eyes on this short film themselves after it makes a film appearance, like give us all the details.
Honestly, just follow me on Instagram.
Yeah? Okay.
I post like everything. Like,
Okay,
all the
perfect.
time, posting everything in my life. So if you follow me on Instagram, then you will be completely up to date with my whereabouts
Fantastic.
and my films. Oh,
Thank
my
you.
film also has an Instagram called How I Learned to Die.
Oh, perfect. So they can follow there. How I Learned to Die on Instagram. All one word?
Yes, and
Send it,
it's
I guess.
also the it's in my bio as well for Manya Glassman. Yeah.
Fantastic. Let's
go.
Thank you so much for being on the So New England
Thank
podcast today and giving us all
This
this
was really
great
fun.
information. This was so much fun.
Thank you.
All right, folks, that is going to complete episode 46 of the So New England podcast. Please remember, folks, life's better in New England.
Red Sox crack